his feet, which is good, but you do not want concussion to come into play.
Just it on. And the Giants are through to the semi-finals. GWS eliminate their crosstown rival and progress to a cup.
He's their present, he's their future. And this might deliver him into a prelim final. Petrarca! McDonald. Now a chance, Petrarca, back-to-back goals. Quick as a flash. Releases the kick. The siren will sound. And it's Melbourne straight through to a prelim final.
Grand final venue set. Tribunal case takes over the football world as we settle down after a ripping first weekend of finals football, Liam.
Yeah, it was. It was a great first week of finals football. We saw one a great game, or they're all great games until the result didn't reflect, the scoreboard didn't reflect otherwise. But you can tell you every game had their own little backstory to it. And as we get into it on Friday night, it was the Port Adelaide Power taking on the Geelong Cats in the second qualifying final. Port got the job done by 43 points, very comfortably in the end. And a big talking point is, are the Cats done? Are they going out in straight sets, or do you think they can mount a comeback and make the grand final?
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
I can't see them getting through Melbourne if they do win this weekend.
Yeah.
A 43-point belting after actually going into the game favourites and predicted by many. We'll dive into the scoreline. So Power were up 10 at quarter time, and a bit of inaccuracy cost the Cats to start 2-5 at the first break. And then Port took the game out of their hands and never looked back. They kicked 4-1 in the second, and then there was only one single goal kicked in the third quarter. Can we just talk about that for a minute? Single goal. 1 goal 3 to 0 goals 3. Jeez. So that equivalates to 12 total points in a quarter of football. Was not the best show. However, Power led by 29 at the half and ended up winning by 43, doubling the Cats score 43 to 86. So not pretty for the Cats, but for pretty much every other football fan in the country, it was a very good display. We'll just touch on one man before we get into the player of the match. So Razio Fantasia, he was
electric.
He was back to his career best form. That display. Obviously, one game's not enough, but he
was playing like it.
Yeah, he took the game out of the Cats' hands. He kicked 3 in the first half.
Yeah.
2 in the first quarter or 2 in the second, either one. He took the game out of the Cats' hands straight away. Wines and Boak, absolute superstars. Boak, 32 touches, 7 tackles. Wines, 33 touches. They're both just Boak is so clean with the football.
He is.
I remember watching a play sort of, close to the camera side, and it was maybe second quarter, and Boak just picked it up, did a spin, fended off one. It's like, he's 33 years old.
I know, and he's, imagine doing that, 33 years old. Not many players can do that, and those two are going to be a big part of Port's, hopefully, grand final case. Now, on to the big man, that first year All-Australian. How good was Olele? That first quarter especially, he had about 4, 5, 6 intercept possessions, I think it was. And he pretty much just showed why he was an All-Australian.
I think he had 6 intercept marks in the first quarter, which is very, very rare, let alone intercept possessions. That's elite for a game.
he was just picking off everything that was coming his way. You could see him out of the corner of, the pack. He would fly in, and then he's just amazing. He was just recruit of the season for me for Port Adelaide. He's just something else. This man, he's taken the league by storm, and it's just great to see. And
Sure
you've had your eye on one bloke from Geelong. He goes by the name of Patrick Dangerfield. Although he did have the 23 disposals, he only went with the 56% efficiency. Danger who?
Well, that's a question we can ask. Where does he go in finals?
He
When was the last final? Let's just say other than last year, because he did have a good final series last year. But
yeah,
what final has he come out and just dominated in?
I can't recall one, to be honest. I can't. So it's just
This is, if not this year, it's next year. But this is the Cats' last really good opportunity as a core. A top 4 finish that's not going to be promised next year.
Yeah.
A top 4 finish, and they're wasting it again. And
Exactly.
we can ask the question: is Scott the problem? Is the coach
Well,
holding them back?
But the thing is that he's one of the most successful coaches the club has ever had. He's made finals every year he's been there.
That's one thing to make finals. Home and away is completely different to finals. It's what happens in finals that decides it.
There's a stat that is going around. They've won like one of their last 6 qualifying finals, one of their 8.
One of the last 8. Yep.
And also they nearly lost out to Hawthorn in 2016. So it's a tough question to ask.
He gets them there. He gets them to that crucial stage, but he can't lift them in the crucial stage.
Yeah. Who knows?
Is it his fault? Is it the player's fault?
I guess the only one time to tell is when all the retirement players from Geelong go, and just whether seeing if Scott can lift them to finals, and then we'll be able to see that he is a home and away coach. But for sure in finals, they kind of just disappear into nobody and haven't really shown up apart from last year, obviously. But again, that was don't count it because of COVID. But anyway, it was not too sure on that one. The next game takes us to probably the best final we had this weekend.
Sure.
One session's finals debut was the Sydney Derby, the Swans and the Giants. Now, we'll save the biggest talking point for last, but Buddy now sits on 995, I believe. So he has to come back next year and kick for the 1,000.
Yeah, so he kicked the 3 goals, one, and the one behind. Now, with about 2.5 minutes left, I think it was.
Yeah,
took the mark probably about 45, 47 meters out. Normally just deadly from there.
I called it.
It's his favourite side.
Yeah.
And he just hooked it.
He did.
He
off the boot.
I'm not going to say lost them the game because he did play a pretty good game other than that. But
it's almost, he did it in the elimination finals, we all know, 14 years ago. Pretty much the exact same spot. But age got to him and he hooked it, and
he's stuck on 995.
Yeah, just come back and do it all again next year.
So the Giants got up by 1 single point. They almost lost it again.
They did.
They played in Hobart earlier in the year to North Melbourne, and
28. No, down 28.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And came back and got it to a draw. And this time they did the polar opposite.
Yeah, they were up. They were up 30, I believe, in that second.
Yeah, late second. And then the Swans sort of pegged it back a little bit, and 19 points at 3/4 time, and then bang, bang, bang.
The
Giants kicked 1 single point.
to Sydney's 2-7. I believe it was a 7-point margin. Then I believe Sydney kicked 6 points in a row. And on Sydney's
Sounds about
behalf,
right.
they had 2 shots from, I'd say, 15 or 20 that everyone counted them in. I think,
Yeah,
not
you're
sure who
right.
it was, but some boy kicked the post from 15 out, and then they had a snap.
Hickey.
They had a snap. They all got rushed through. So it's the Swans there to blame. They kicked 6 shots on goal. They kept peppering it in, but credit to the Giants. They got up and take on Geelong.
We just got to say credit to the Swans, though. No one expected them to be here.
Definitely, I had them bottom 6. I
had them about that 12 to 14 range.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great signs, though, for coming years. And the biggest story coming out of the weekend, Mr. Toby Greene and his altercation with Matt Stevic. I believe, when was it? What break was it?
Three-quarter time.
Three-quarter time. He bumped into Stevic and obviously got sent straight to the tribunal. And the result came back to the despise of many AFL fans and to the joy
After
of
4 hours.
many. 4 long hours, he was suspended for the total of 3 games. So he's going to miss the rest of the final series or either the first 2 games next year. Depends how many games the Giants go on to win this final series. But he never seems to learn, does he, though, Toby? I've read a thing. He's been fined about 22,000. Been suspended 11 games. He's got his 170 game career. So it just never seems to learn. Big Tobes.
Let me put this to you. If his name was any other random bloke, let's say from a GWS standpoint, if his name was Jesse Hogan, would he have gotten the 3 games?
He would be walking free. I'm telling you right now, he would have been walking free with a fine.
I think it's just because of his reputation.
Yeah, I think that's what it came to.
And it's not a good reputation. I'll admit that.
It's not.
But
it's not.
The 3 weeks was.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. I would have been happy, with a 1 or 2 downgraded.
I would have respected a 1.
Yeah,
that would have been okay.
The rule is that you know how to physically touch an umpire, but again, Stevic, he was there. He said he didn't feel disrespected. He didn't feel threatened.
Nothing. Yeah,
intimidated. So he was all fine with it, but I guess just it's not a great look for the game, is it? We know the rules that you know how to kind of touch an umpire, but it's rough. It's rough for the Giants. Many AFL fans are saying thank God, but we are on the other end. And the Giants, they had the opportunity to challenge it, but I believe they declined that. And by coming in now is that the AFL is considering appealing the Toby Greene 3-match ban, and Gil McLachlan clearly thinks, it's probably worth a challenge. So that's just come in. So it still goes on, but we all know they had to leave for about the 4 hours, I think, there, because Gil's had a flight to catch, obviously over to Perth. So it's controversy after controversy, and it will go along into the week.
Now, how do we think Tasmania went with? Obviously, we're only talking about one final for now. We'll get into the Bulldogs one afterwards. But how do we think they went with hosting it? I feel like it was a great turnout.
I feel they did well.
Launceston. They had max capacity. I saw the official capacity. I think it was about 160 tickets short, maybe.
Yeah, that's. Who did take that day?
It was a sellout. Just people didn't turn up on the day, which happens every now and again. But do you think they did it well? It was a very Swans biased crowd.
I think they did, though. I think
5 or 6 GWS fans in the crowd, but
still it was good to see Tasmania get out and support. You probably won't ever get it ever again. With hopefully COVID going away next year, but you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously. But until then, I think that's the only finals I get in Tasmania, and I still would rate it. Yeah, as you said, it was probably very Swan biased, and yeah, but still, it was a good turn. I think it was about 8,000 there, but it seemed a lot louder in the final 5 minutes when Swans get peppering the Giants. But yeah, overall, it was a great final to watch, and yeah, very solid indeed.
Now we progress into Melbourne versus Brisbane, the Saturday night clash. To me, this was the one that I was looking forward to most out of all the clashes. It was the one that caught the eye when the fixture was locked in on the Saturday evening at that time. I thought Brisbane could challenge them.
So did I. I thought that could
the
go right up
first
to them.
quarter was a ripping contest. It was high scoring. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was something like 30-25 or something, which is pretty good for a final with
9 goals.
High pressure. It was good, but
after that, it was kind of all demons. All demons. Brisbane kicked the 5 goals. Melbourne kicked the 8. But that second quarter, I think Melbourne kicked the 4 goals 6, and Brisbane only the 1 goal 2. So the 8-point margin turned out to be the 30-point margin. That's kind of where it blew away. So how the Dees, are they going all the way still? Do you think they've got what it takes to win the premiership?
Yeah, I do. They're my favourites at this point.
Yeah, they're always my favourites, but
Port are probably second now.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to make the grand final, Port Adelaide. If Melbourne get through, let's assume Geelong are going to beat GWS. If Melbourne get through Geelong, that's their premiership done.
Yeah.
They're the two best teams meeting off in a prelim, which has happened so many times before. But if Melbourne get through them, I think that's over.
Yeah, for sure. Lockie Neal on the other end set the finals record, I believe it was, for most as well as the match. He racked up the lazy 46 touches. I did not see this coming. I looked after the game, and all of a sudden I saw he had 46 touches. I'm like, what? But
were they impactful? Clearly not.
I generally didn't say. I said he had 20 at most.
I knew he had a decent game, but 46 sort of jumped out of the block.
Yeah, it did. Now, for the Lions, are they done? Or do you think they've still got something to prove?
I think their best football on their day can match any team in the league.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write them off completely because honestly, I can see them, if they get through the Dogs this week, I can see them beating Port Adelaide.
On their day, for sure.
Whether they hit that peak or not, guess we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, they've had 2 years of heartbreak. 2019, they went out in straight sets on the back of Richmond and GWS, who ended up making the grand final. And 2020, obviously, they lost the home prelim when everything was set up for them to win the premiership. They had the home grand final. This is their year.
I'd say this is their year to win.
If they can't click, much like Port Adelaide, if they can't click this year, they won't click at all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If they don't make a grand final, given all the current circumstances, that's a failed season. Yeah,
I reckon it is too. And then we saw footage, photo off on Luke Jackson's Instagram of his teeth got knocked out. I believe it was his front tooth, but then he had to get the other one taken out or just pulled out because it was that loose. So He ended up missing 2 teeth. But footage came in, or photo came in to say that his shiny whites are all back together in one piece, and
He'll be good to go. Training
yeah,
now. So
all good to go. Yeah. Now onto the final of the weekend. Essendon and the Dogs down in Launceston yet again. Dogs ended up winning by 50 points, I believe it was.
49.
And the biggest talking point coming out of this game is Cody Waitman has been accused by many fans of diving or ducking for every free kick he had. Do you think he ducked, or do you think generally they were all there? I could say one that was controversial for me, and that was one
I could say
Draper.
2 he ducked and 2 were there.
I would say the one with Draper was just unlucky. He kind of just
went
underneath his armpit, and then.
But you can't. And there's been a lot of hate put on Cody Waitman, who we forget it's only, what is he, 20, 21, something like that?
19 or 20, yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of negative comments on, example, his Instagram post from 6 days before the match.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not Cody's fault for the umpiring errors.
Exactly.
I'm not here to say they were the wrong calls. They judge what they see.
But a player,
it's not Cody's fault.
Exactly, it's not his fault at all. He couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't have gone up to the umpire and said, "No, don't give me the free kick." It's just the umpires. It was their decision. They saw what they saw, and apparently we try and move on. But many people disagreed, and poor old Cody got the bad rubber of it.
Now, just one thing. What happened to Jake Stringer?
He disappeared in the big moment, didn't he?
And then nothing.
Everyone tipped him to have a big game, have the impact game against his old club. But
2 goals, 1. So he hit the scoreboard like he normally does. However, the 9 disposals.
No, didn't have an impact.
Exactly. And the 9 disposals, he kicked half of their goals, 2 of their 4 goals. But like you said, there's no impact. And if you can't produce impact in a final,
then
you're not much good.
You're not at all. And also, Aston didn't kick a goal in the second half, which is they didn't kick a goal. They kicked the 5 points, I believe it was, to the Dogs 8 goals, and you can't fault a 49-point loss on 4. They were kicked by Cody Waitman. You still would have lost by 25 points at the end of the day. So again, it's not Cody's fault. It's more the umpires and what they saw, and Essendon for just not really showing up after halftime. That's pretty much what it was.
6,205 days we're up to as of this Tuesday.
6.
Yeah, that might. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna another
365 at least to go.
Yeah. Everyone thought it was going to end on Sunday, but again, I have to keep waiting. Essendon fans on the long-awaited finals.
Now, just one big sort of news story before we end the show. We had about 4 p.m. today, being Tuesday, August 31st, or 3 o'clock, that the grand final will head west. It'll take its toll on the Western Australian government at Optus Stadium. And he made a pretty powerful statement, which is saying what we won't do is play a grand final in front of no people. So what we understand was that there was quite a lengthy discussion between the MCC, who own Melbourne Cricket Ground, and the AFL. However, they always had the mutual agreement to play it in front of a crowd no matter what. McLaughlin said the grand final will not start at the traditional time of 2:30 due to the time difference, which makes a lot of sense. Whether that be a 7-10 game for us and like a 5-10 for WA, whatever that equivalates to be. And the MCG got another year to their ridiculously long deal to host the grand final of 2059.
Yeah. It's obviously great for Perth. See a grand final, although unfortunately none of the teams will be competing, but I'm sure no matter what, it will be a sellout crowd. It'll probably be hopefully just a one-time thing. So obviously bloody 2060, but I'm sure it'll be good for Perth. And the players get 60,000. I'm sure they'll be well. I'm sure they'll be vocal. So,
and just on the grand final week, so obviously we have the semis this upcoming weekend in the 3 days' time, and then we have the preliminaries the next week, and then we will have the pre-finals bye, which has been moved now to the pre-grand final bye. And on that pre-grand final bye weekend, the Sunday evening will be the Brownlow medal count, which will also be held in Perth.
Very, very solid.
AFL have sent 25 to 30 people over to Perth to work on getting the Optus Stadium facilities and everything else ready. Obviously, they have a game this weekend, and I believe Melbourne have nominated Optus as their stadium of host for the prelim. I mean, we'll have crowds. That's all we really wanted.
Yeah. Although it won't be at the MCU for over 100,000 that we normally could get there, it probably would have been about 50 at max, even if we were to get a lockdown. So, it's great. It's great to see that Perth get to host a grand final and something different for the second year in a row.
100%. All right, I think that just about wraps it up. Unless you got anything else important to add?
No.
All sweet. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed. Join us for the next podcast on Thursday, where we will take a deep dive into the Geelong and GWS Giants matchups. But first, we will have the Hawthorn season review tomorrow, so make sure to check that out when that comes out.
For sure.
Thank you all for watching and listening, and we will catch you then.